How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to our venture in the visual novel of Adventure of a Lifetime. Last episode, Emily has a job now. She has a job. And even Chisa got a job. Where to? Watch the other episode to find out. Nah, I'm just gonna tell you. She got a job at the cafe, to which Grandma just kindly offered her, which I'll admit is kind, but what is with the beef with her grandson? The grandson is literally offering to help her, and she was like, yeah, get out of here, you blowhard full of hot air. Get a job as a hairdryer or something. But yeah, I was just like, really? If there's anyone who's a hothead, it's her. But I don't know. Again, I don't know the whole story, but still, it just seems out of place right now. But hopefully I get some context to that so I can understand the whole thing. But anyways, at least she's opening up to some possible help. And then, of course, a tourist came in, apparently, and he got some breakfast and everything, and apparently owns his own cafe. Shinami suspects him, which is probably a bit understandable, but it looks like that Hiroki, Chisa, and Emily are going out to check out the sunken ship, to which Emily now has her scuba diving license, or her sea license, to be sea certification, to be able to start renting some scuba gear. So now she's not caught in a snag with that. So we're going to load up that part and find out what they're going to do this time around. Just then, Emily came running in. Okay then. Running errands. And she probably was literally running. I told you not to worry. Yeah, we are. You want to come? Okay, that's one thing that me and her do actually have in common, because I do kind of sweat out in hot air as well like that. So, yeah, I understand. And plus, I'm quite the introvert myself, so. Shaking her head in disbelief, Chinami helped herself to some orange juice from the cafe's fridge. Well, why don't we go hang out at Omura Beach next time? Or could it be it's because it's Hiroki in particular that you're agreeing? No, I don't have a way with anyone. Ladies were ganging up on me. I learned from much practice that pushing it would only result in regret. Anyway, it's time to head out. So, did you want to put those bags away, Emily? Emily went to drop off Grandma's stuff. You hurry up too, Chisa.
Hi.
Today we're going diving. Now that Emily had her diver certification, it was time for action. It was time to explore the ghost ship. We beached the outrigger canoe on Minamijima and unloaded our equipment. I'm sorry, that word is still a huge tongue twister. Chisa said, staring out over the gentle waves and the cloudless sky. I still see a few clouds over there.
さて、着替えましょうか。
Chisa stripped without hesitation. As always, she was wearing her swimsuit underneath.
よっ。おっと。
While Chisa warmed up, Emily started changing next to her.
ヒロ君、あっち向いててもらえないかしら。
Oh yeah, sorry. She was clearly wearing a swimsuit under her clothes like Chisa, but I assumed she didn't want me to see her undressing. Looking the other way, I stripped too. Once finished, I turned back around. Emily was there in her swimsuit. Emily stood there fidgeting and acting bored. I couldn't help checking her out. You're okay, focus.
何してんの？ほら、準備運動。
At Chisa's insistence, Emily started her warm-up as well.
1、2、3、4。1、2、3、4。5、6、7、8。5、6、7、8。
Chisa had a rich tan and her body was fit and healthy. She didn't seem to be on a diet, but she had no fat and her muscles bunched slightly as she flexed. On the other hand, Emily's skin was as white as a fresh fallen snow. The way the swimsuit hugged against her supple skin made her look even more soft and luscious. Focus, Hiroki. The contrast was exquisite. Wow, nice view. As I watched the two girls warming up, Finn stared at me with an unreadable expression.
見てないで、あんたもやんなさい。
Oh yeah. I rushed to join in the exercise. When we were finished, it was time to put on our wetsuits. If you weren't used to it, putting one on could be hard. They were made of an elastic material and fit tightly on the body. For the upper body, it's easier if you put one arm through first, then try the other arm. Although I was playing teacher, it had actually been a while since I had gone scuba diving. After we had our wetsuits on, it was time to put on the hardware. There's a lot of equipment involved in scuba. First, there's the diving cylinder. It should go without saying, but that's where the air comes from, and it's incredibly heavy. Next, there's the regulator to supply the diver with air from the tank. Since the air in the tank is pressurized, it needs to be regulated to match the water pressure for breathing. Then there's the vest-like BCD. I am not even going to try to pronounce that. This helps control... Oh, is that buoyancy? Oh, okay. This helps control buoyancy while underwater, but it can also be used as a life vest on the surface. Weights placed on the waist belt help offset the diver's suit's natural buoyancy, allowing you to stay underwater. Fins are sometimes worn like boots or strapped directly to your bare feet. A diving mask to cover the nose, and a snorkel. Finally, there are smaller items like the pressure gauge, depth gauge, and compass.
重い。
Emily, fully dressed now, was staggering. Scuba equipment was really heavy, so a weaker girl like Emily would have a hard time just walking.
できた？じゃあバディチェックよ。
Since Shiza was freediving, after the warm-up, she'd been helping us get dressed. She was also our guide. You know about the buddy system, right?
講習で習ったわ。
The buddy system was a way to ensure safety when scuba diving. And that meant doing everything in pairs. You set up your dive plan together and stayed together in the water. You also performed a buddy check before diving. This meant checking all of your buddy's equipment and having them check yours. BCD okay. Weights? Okay. The sea was not hospitable to human life, and a single mistake could lead to a fatal accident. The buddy system was there to reduce that possibility as much as possible. I think someone's bored. While Emily and I did our buddy check, Chisa was clearly bored. Chisa used to scuba dive once upon a time. The only reason I had a C card was because I used to dive with her. Emily, you okay? Your face is all red. Should she be feeling sick?
だって体中をジロジロチェックされるんだもん。
She kept moving her hips like she was trying to dodge my eyes. That's not why I'm doing it! I replied quickly without a moment's hesitation.
ちょっと念入りすぎるんじゃない？
This is her first dive with her C card. Of course I'm being careful. Although I denied the accusation, I had been admiring the curve of Emily's waist and the way her breasts filled the tight swimsuit. You're okay, focus! Focus! Since the wetsuit fit so tightly, it really showed off her figure. If I were to describe Emily, I'd say the parts that stuck out really stuck out, and the parts that pulled in really pulled in. Okay, let's switch. Now it's your turn, Emily.
わかった。
Emily checked my equipment, checking for bent tubes, making sure the weight belt was fastened and the air was flowing. She took nearly twice as long as I did, but her face was serious as she checked.
オールオッケーよ。よし、準備完了ね。
Now it was time to dive.
ビーチエントリーのやり方は知ってる？講習で習ったけど。
There are a variety of techniques for entering the water. Beach entry, rocky surface entry, boat entry, and so on. They all had specialized techniques used for entry.
まずはまだフィンを履かずにバディと向かい合う。
Holding our fins in our hands, Emily and I faced one another.
なんだかドキドキするわね、この体勢。それから相手の肩を持つ。
We put our hands on each other's shoulders.
この体勢のまま横に歩いていくのよね。
Facing each other, our hands on each other's shoulders, we sidestepped into the water. This entry method was used on the beach because the soft sand could cause you to sink and lose balance. There weren't any waves here, but at other beaches, the incoming waves were a real threat. Not to mention all the heavy equipment we wore. Once we reached deeper waters, we helped one another get our fins on.
よいしょっと。
Got it?
ええ。
Emily kicked her legs in the water to make sure the fins wouldn't come off easily. Okay, time to go under.
待って、やっぱ待って。
What's wrong?
ちょっと深呼吸させて。いいわ。
Try not to worry so much, but if you get scared, just give me a sign.
了解。
Right, it's time. Get ready. Go! When we put our faces under, at first we saw only clouds of tiny bubbles racing to the surface. When they cleared, the world was suddenly cast in a deep blue. I looked to one side. I couldn't see her expression through her mask, but her movements were stiff from nervousness. Relax, just relax. I touched her shoulder to comfort her.
リラックス。
I pointed forward and down. Let's go.
オッケー。
Slowly, we went deeper and deeper into the water. It was hard to simply dive down for beginners, as human bodies tend to float in water. So we moved towards the inlet's entrance, swimming just under the surface. As we moved away from the sandy floor of the inlet and over a steep cliff, the ocean floor was spread out before our eyes. As we moved further out into the ocean, Emily's nervousness only intensified. I took her hand and we swam out further. Not long after, it slowly came into view. The ghost ship. Emily, wait! Don't rush! I stopped Emily as she had subconsciously started speeding up and tapped my ear. And then she seemed to remember something important. She stopped moving and pinched her nose through her mask. She was equalizing her ears. There are several areas where air can get trapped in the human body. The ears are two of them, and as you dive deeper and the outside pressure increases, those air pockets are squeezed. If you go too fast, it can cause pain or even rupture the eardrums. Equalizing is used to prevent that from happening. One technique is to hold your nose and breathe out. This pushes the air to your ears. By increasing the amount of air in those spaces, you can equalize the pressure inside with the outside pressure. Equalizing the ears is an important skill for scuba, and if you can't do it, then you can't dive deep. That would certainly be an issue for me, because I need my ears. Emily?
待って、すぐやるから置いてっちゃやよ。
I know, just settle down and take it slow.
できた。
Emily gave me the okay. I equalized my ears too before we continued on. You have to equalize ever so often the deeper you dive, but the frequency is different for everyone. And if your buddy is having trouble equalizing, it's important to stop moving and wait for them. Speaking of air pressure, the lungs are also pretty big bags of air. As the outside pressure increases, they get smaller, but breathing helps regulate the pressure naturally. All you have to do is fill your lungs with air from the cylinder. This also means that you can't hold your breath when scuba diving. As we went deeper and Emily continued equalizing, she seemed to calm down.
見て、あれ幽霊星。
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. It was caught in a rocky crevice on the seafloor. I'd heard the rumors tons of times about the ghost ship that wandered the seafloor. It was the kind of story kids lived for, but I had never seen it myself. But finally, we're here. Emily gazed at the silent ship lying there, her heart heavy with a range of emotions. This mysterious ghost ship had wandered the waters of the Ogasawaran Islands for 16 long years. Suddenly, a mammalian, I guess that's how you pronounce that, figure jumped into view. Figures it would be Finn. A dolphin and...
おっさき。
Chisa swam by.
急に出てこないでよ。びっくりするじゃない。
Emily complained, air bubbling around her. Chisa dove effortlessly, her movement unhindered by mask or tank.
あの子、エラ呼吸できるんじゃないかしら。
Agreed. Schools of fish had gathered around the ghost ship. Shipwrecks provided large habitats for fish, so they were excellent diving spots.
綺麗ね。
Emily stared at the magical scene, our goal completely forgotten. Chisa easily passed by us to approach the fish-shrouded ship, but suddenly drew back. What's wrong? Chisa looked in my direction and threw up a sign of making an X with her hands.
こっちに近づかないで
I wasn't sure what had happened, but our original plan had only been to come this far anyway. I gave Chisa an okay sign and led Emily back to the shallows.
もうダメ
Back on the beach, Emily laid out on the beach in her equipment.
こらこら機材が砂まみれになっちゃうでしょそういうのは脱いでからにしなさいだって重いんだもん
We'd come back after our little dive, but carrying all that gear from the shallows up the beach was no small task. It was hard enough for me, but for Emily, who looked like she never lifted anything heavier than a pasta fork, it must have been torture. Here, I'll help.
ありがとうヒロくんもうヒロキはすぐエミリーを甘やかす
It's the buddy system.
はいはいそうですね
As I helped Emily out of her gear, I called over to Chisa. So what was up over by the ghost ship? Chisa had gone over alone, but told us not to go closer via hand signal. And we'll find out what Chisa found out, possibly, on the next episode. Oh, the cliffhangers. But you know what? It keeps you just wanting more and more there. Well, if you liked what you saw this time around, by all means, maybe consider leaving a like. And if you want to see more, maybe consider subscribing. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy mixing, everyone.